a story we are tracking since yesterday, that of Make in India, and Make in India iPhone 15 particularly. The iPhone 15, which is about to be launched next month, in the month of September,
12 September,
will be made in India.
Yeah, most of it. And the best thing about this is that India lagged behind China by 9 months in their iPhone deliveries till iPhone 14 happened, that too this year itself. That has 9 months has been cut down to just a few weeks.
Okay.
So iPhone 15, what will be manufactured and delivered out of China will be just 2 or 3 weeks ahead of what will be delivered to the world out of India.
Okay.
And that is the Make in India story that's really happening. Foxconn is taking the lead, but Winstron and Pegatron will also be assembling iPhone 15 in India at the same time.
Okay. Winstron and Pegatron, of course, being the facilities of Foxconn in India.
No,
Winstron,
competitors
Apple,
for the Apple.
Right.
Winstron is with Tata's now.
Right. Winstron with Tata's now. But we don't, I think the larger question, of course, we don't know how much of it will be made in India as opposed to assembled in India. But I suppose on the back of an iPhone, you can very soon see Made in India written in big bold letters.
Yeah, I hope so. And, it's already happening for some of the iPhone models, not the latest ones. Of course, I think iPhone 14 also, if the information is true, has now been made in India,
yes.
at least some quantity of that. But what is interesting and important to note here, Shweta, is that even initially, let's say, even if 70%, 80%, 90% of the components are imported and the iPhone is assembled in India, the basic tenets of permitting FDI in manufacturing and for companies to take advantage of the government's PLI scheme, where the government is a part stakeholder in the investments being made by international companies to establish manufacturing production units in India, is the fact that over time localization has to happen. So you may be starting off with assembling iPhone 15s in India. They may carry the Made in India or assembled in India tag, and those are semantics, those are optics. But beyond that, for sure that within, let's say, a 3-year time frame, you will have at least 50% of the components
made in India,
sourced from India.
Locally,
so you're really talking about Indian entrepreneurs, Indian MSMEs and high precision scientific equipment MSMEs really waiting for a big chunk of the iPhone manufacturing or components of iPhones to come to them. Imagine what that's going to do to their CV, and imagine what's that going to do not just for their supply to Indian Foxconn, Wistron, Pegatron factories, but even other iPhone factories across the world, because the standardization has to be maintained. iPhone is not going to compromise on quality or on its own standardization because it is an Indian supplier. The standardization has to be uniform for each of its suppliers across the world. That requires skill, that requires training, that requires investments by partner component makers into Indian MSME sectors as well. And over time, from 50%, if it reaches a 70%, 80%, 90% story, that is when you are really talking about the iPhone manufacturing story and the electronics manufacturing story in India really taking off.
I think that's what Foxconn probably, how it has, if it is lagging behind China, which has entire clustering of all the linkages by only few weeks. So even if they are procuring parts from other parts of the world, they are doing it pretty quickly.
Okay.
Or they are finding local users as the government had nudged them to do. So a lag of only 2 to 3 weeks, I think, from 9 months is quite a jump within a year.
Of course, quite a jump. And Apple there, of course, committed to making at least 45% and sourcing most of its parts from India by next year. That, of course, is the vision, and perhaps a step closer
and in fact,
to the vision
that Minister Ashwini Vaishnav had also mentioned to our editor Rakesh Khar in the exclusive interview that we aired on Independence Day, and maybe our audience should go and watch that, search for that interview and watch it as well, that electronics manufacturing, smartphone manufacturing is definitely an area where India is going to take a lead. Unlike many other sectors where we have been laggards, and even in electronic smartphones we have been laggards, but it seems that story is going to end very soon, and we are going to compete head on with China to supply to the rest of the world when it comes to electronics and smartphones.
Right.